Welcome to Patriots Corner with Dr. Hill Law, your source for unfiltered conservative analysis. We're here to dissect this week's biggest stories in politics and the economy, all from a grounded conservative perspective. Just wanted to say thanks for tuning in. No spin, just straight talk about what matters to you. We'll delve into the issues shaping our nation and hold our leaders accountable and discuss and debate solutions that uphold our core American values. If you're new here, please hit that like button, subscribe, and the ring notification bell so you don't miss future streams. We are on Twitch, YouTube, Rumble, and also I am now streaming across a couple others. While this week we started slowly, it took a drastic turn yesterday when President Trump and Elon Musk started a rather public divorce. Additionally, the Supreme Court issued several major opinions that will have wide-ranging implications, with one in particular having a significant impact on DEI work programs, along with President Trump having a long-awaited phone call with President Xi of China regarding the current trade agreement being ironed out. News also came out today. I am going to cover the difference between a continuing resolution and also appropriations bill, along with the reason for raising the minimum limit for the estate tax to $35 million and how it will help close the income cap disparity, and also why all this stuff the left is saying and we're going on about the debt and everything is just it, and Elon Musk's anger and stuff with this. But with the continuing resolution, the omnibus bill doesn't work in Congress. If he actually knew how Congress worked, he would understand why all the DOGE cuts have not been codified in this bill. Now, so for our main discussion tonight, I will cover the fallout from the Musk-Trump feud, how the phone call turned out, and the historic precedent set by the Supreme Court in the recent round of opinions that were issued on Thursday morning, and then talk about the nation's national deficit and the tax bill. Also, I'm going to go ahead and add in another section tonight because of the big breaking news we had come in as I was coming on my way home to start this, and that was the Kelmar Abrego Garcia situation. So please also comment, like, share, and at the end of the segment, I will look at the comments that are in the section, and any comments I will try to answer a couple, and also let you know if I and maybe debate some stuff or anything like that. So for the main political commentary one, while everyone tries to figure out whether this fallout between Elon Musk is a shell game or genuine, it's hilarious to watch. If Elon hadn't made the claim about the Epstein files and Tesla's stocks were not hit so hard that he lost $38 billion, I might believe that it was all a ploy to get the Republicans in the Senate to rally behind President Trump or pass along big beautiful bill. But in reality, Elon Musk went even further right with the attacks that he made on President Trump's bill, which is crazy considering the left has been praising Musk's attacks on the bill, even though they would disagree with how deep of cuts he wants to see in the bill. What I do believe is that he is hurt because the bill doesn't codify all the cuts he worked so hard on while heading DOGE. Now, along with the fact that President Trump pulled Musk's pick for the head of NASA, did not award Starlink the FAA air traffic control contract, and removed all the EV mandates from the budget, it kind of got on him a little there too. Sorry, I have a little cough tonight. After he spent nearly $500 million through PACs and super PACs to get President Trump elected, among other Republicans. So while I believe that this spat will do nothing to harm President Trump further, with the left, it could help pull the Republicans even closer together to pass this bill, even though it just happened. I don't believe it was a planned act of Musk or President Trump's to stage such a spectacle. Additionally, it proves once again President Trump is unafraid and will not be swayed, regardless of how much an industry or a company or one person donates to his campaign, that he cannot be bought. Now, the Supreme Court issued multiple opinions on yesterday, including one in a case centered on unemployment tax credits for religious institutions involving a Wisconsin-based Catholic charity group. Now, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Catholic charities and the fact that Wisconsin was in violation of the religious clauses under the First Amendment. In a unanimous opinion, which we don't see very often with how polarized our nation is, even at the Supreme Court level, one of the major issues is that the state of Wisconsin was trying to distinguish between different religions or like religious entities according to their court opinion. Now, when the government distinguishes among religious based on theological differences in their provision of services, it imposes a denominational preference that must satisfy the highest level of judicial scrutiny. And that was according to Justice Sona Sotomayor, writing for the majority in the opinion. Now, the Supreme Court opinion could have far-reaching implications for other states, potentially broadening their tax-exempt status for religious organizations. I'm surprised to see a Supreme Court opinion be so unanimous, especially considering it involves religious freedom. It is also a significant win for religious liberty, strengthening these organizations' ability to allocate more resources towards the work of God than the federal and state governments. Now, the second unanimous ruling that the Supreme Court handed down yesterday was in favor of an Ohio woman who had claimed she was discriminated against for job promotions in favor of a gay candidate. Now, who thought that would happen? I didn't. In Ames v. Ohio Department of Youth Services, the court found that members of the majority group protected classes do not need to meet a higher standard of evidence in order to establish discrimination. Judge Kenyante Brown Jackson wrote the opinion of the court in the 9-0 decision. Jackson wrote, the Sixth Circuit has implicated a rule that requires certain Title IX plaintiffs who are members of majority groups to satisfy a heightened evidentiary standard. We conclude that Title IX does not impose such a heightened standard on majority group plaintiffs. Therefore, the judgment below is vacated. This ruling could have wide-ranging implications for future companies that maintain a commitment to practicing DEI standards and setting quotas for hiring promotions. Now, even a white heterosexual person can sue if they can prove they were passed over for reasons of sex, race, religion, sexual preference, or gender identity. The Biden administration fought to get gender identity and sexual preferences protected, and we can thank him for that, or this ruling might have gone the other way. So thanks to the lefts, now the right and everybody can actually get protected. Now, we can utilize the power of the courts to challenge biased and discriminatory practice, such as those related to DI. Everyone should be hired based on merit, not on some arbitrary standard Democrats make up. Hold on. Sorry, I had to yell at my dogs. I got to get a door put in my office so I can actually do these without any interruptions for once. Now, your party does not, obviously, the left party does not support equality or diversity. They promote division and racism under the guise of DI and critical race theory, calling for all for separate black graduations and events. I mean, that's the left. That was them a couple years ago. Democrats are the party of slavery and Jim Crow laws, and Republicans are the party of the Emancipation Proclamation, the 14th Amendment, desegregation, and everything that involves equal treatment based on merit in the context of your character, not the color of your skin. It is the left who has always been the racist party. Our final Supreme Court opinion that was handed down on Thursday morning was a major win for the Second Amendment and gun rights. The Mexican government had sued 7 gun manufacturers, accusing them of aiding the drug cartels through illegal gun sales and Smith & Wesson brands via Estados Unidos Mexicanos. The Supreme Court made another surprising unanimous finding. The Protection of Lawful Commerce and Arms Act, PLCAA, a statute that protects gun manufacturers from lawsuits, did not include exceptions that would have allowed the Mexican government to sue. Now, while I'm not surprised about this ruling, I'm surprised that it was a unanimous ruling, considering the left is not very big on being able to see, is not very big on the Second Amendment. So I was very surprised on that. Hold on one second. I got to ask my wife to take the dogs out so they'll quit barking. All right, so let me get going here. Now, in the opinion of the court, Justice Elena Kagan wrote that the kinds of allegations Mexico makes cannot satisfy the demands of the statute's predicate exception, which means gun manufacturers can't be responsible for a third party's criminal use of their product. As we come to the end of our first segment, please don't forget to engage by commenting and sharing. I will pick a couple of comments to read and answer any questions about subjects covered during the segment, or if it's in line with subjects covered, I will possibly answer it. Also, don't forget to like and follow if you would like to help support future episodes and hopefully soon daily episodes. Then don't forget to check out my website, sign up for free access to my blog and notifications of every live episode, and hit the subscribe button, which will send you to my locals channel or community where you can subscribe. And the website is Patriots Corner with drhilllaw.com. That's Patriots Corner with drhilllaw.com. Just got it set up and going. And also now you can check us out on Spotify within about 30 minutes to an hour after the end of each show. I'll have it uploaded on there and ready to go. As far as the I'm looking to try to get it on Apple and iHeart and Amazon. I haven't got those setting up yet, but that's my goal. Those obviously will all be audio only. So except for Apple, Amazon, and iHeart will be all audio. The other one will be audio and video. So let me grab a drink, then we'll get going. Is my audio working? Is my audio working? Okay. I just started using a new streaming software, so I wanted to make sure I had everything set up correctly. They don't really have a test function on it. Now, additionally, for now, please refrain from signing up for the VIP memberships, which I've got 2 levels of memberships on my locals channel. The reason is because I really won't have the time to provide all the stuff that's supposed to be included with the VIP membership. Now, obviously, if you want to pay the extra money, that's fine with me. And then once I get enough followers and subscribers and have enough following, I'll be able to quit my full-time job and have time to actually provide the financial literacy courses, the courses on real estate development or any real estate development consulting and stuff like that, and credit building. But until then, please just look at the regular entry-level subscription. And then, like I was saying, Spotify will be audio and visual. Apple and all the other ones will be audio only. Now to start with the budget, Doge, and the national debt. Now, Elon Musk's foray into the world of Washington, D.C. has presented him with a stark contrast to the operational dynamics of the business sector he is accustomed to. He is encountering the complexities and intricacies of the American governmental system, which he's finding out takes a long time. Unlike the corporate environment, where a single individual, often the CEO, can swiftly implement pivotal decisions regarding resource allocation and fiscal planning, Washington operates under a shared authority and intricate legislative process that takes a really long time. Any significant policy change, especially those that involve financial implications such as spending adjustments and budgetary realignments, necessitates the collective agreement and approval of the United States Congress. This means that decisions are not made unilaterally, but rather through extensive deliberation, negotiation, and voting procedures involving both the House of Representatives and the Senate. Furthermore, the proposed Doge cuts face a substantial procedural hurdle. Then these cuts cannot simply be incorporated into a continuing resolution. All right, some of them can, but most of them can't, which often serves as a temporary measure to fund the government when the new fiscal year begins without an approved budget. Similarly, they are not automatically included in omnibus legislation, such as the often discussed One Big Beautiful Bill, which aims to consolidate various appropriations into a single package. Instead, these specific budget cuts must be integrated into individual appropriations bills, each of which is dedicated to funding a particular area of government. These appropriations bills are subject to stringent voting requirements. They demand bipartisan support and cannot be enacted through a simple majority vote in either chamber of Congress. The necessary threshold is a supermajority, which translates to approximately 247 votes in the House of Representatives or 67 votes in the Senate. This supermajority requirement underscores the necessity for cross-party cooperation and agreement. Currently, the political landscape presents a significant challenge to achieve this level of bipartisanship, such for deficit reduction and budget cuts. A considerable divide exists between the Republican and Democratic parties on fiscal matters. Many Democrats appear disinclined to join Republicans in supporting these cuts, largely because they favor alternative approaches to fiscal management. Specifically, their inclination is towards raising taxes rather than implementing substantial reduction in government spending. Their preference for tax increases is often linked to a desire to maintain current levels of public services and social programs without any spending cuts they're viewed as minimal and secondary to revenue generation. This is the fundamental disagreement over taxation and spending priorities creates a formidable barrier to the bipartisan cooperation required to pass appropriations bills containing the desired Doge cuts. And that's where we are getting the issues with. All right. Now, also, while the Democrats don't want to cut programs, the only way we get to keep this country from going bankrupt is through making cuts that takes bipartisanship and would take the left not lying to their constituents and telling them the truth when it comes to what makes up over 50% of the United States spending and borrowing budget. Now, Arizona Congressman David Schweikert, in his weekly House floor speech, highlighted the urgent fight back in February, the urgent fiscal crisis in the United States. And it was a really amazing speech, made it where everybody can really understand it, the numbers, even if you're not an economics or finance major. Now, he had said that he read through comments his previous speeches had received on what to cut from the budget to eliminate the deficit, and he blew them all away in 4 or 5 simple visual aids. For instance, he said one of the main ideas he saw in the comments was to not pay all of Congress or cut pay for a bunch of federal employees. So he took a yearly calendar. He broke that annual budget down in 365 days, 1 day for each part of the night, showing that if you took all the money from 40,000 federal employees, taking early retirement at an average of 106,000 a year, it amounts to a single day of borrowing. 1 day. Okay, that is borrowing, not spending, just borrowing. Schweikert then went on to show some more examples of cuts people had suggested, including foreign aid, military discretionary defense budget, among others, which if Congress were to cut 100% of those budgets, it would still only save 6 months worth of the annual budget, and that's include not paying Congress or both houses. You could cut 100% of the discretionary budget and not even scratch the surface of the United States debt and spending deficit issues. He stated that due to the actions taken by Congress in 2023 lame duck session, where they withdrew another couple of $1 billion from Social Security without replacing the funds, it appears that Social Security Trust Fund will be depleted by mid-2033, which by law means seniors in 2023 will see a 20% cut to their Social Security benefits, which will double the senior poverty rate the following year. But because the CBO by law cannot show a zero balance, that means in 2034 there will be $600 billion in borrowing to make up for the shortfall in Social Security. Then you add up 2033 to 2035, that's another $1.7 trillion because the Social Security Trust Fund is empty. So they have to borrow to pay it out, and that's at a 20% decreased rate. Now, of course, the Democrats were like, you can't touch Social Security. The Republicans are trying to cut Social Security. They're going to push grandma off a cliff. Well, I'm sorry, but because they've kept on pushing those lies and kicking the can down the road, they're the ones that have pushed grandma off the cliff, not the Republicans. All right. Now, currently, our country is on track to be borrowing 155% of our country's GDP over the next 20 years, which will double the deficit that took almost 250 years to accrue over the next 10 years. If the bonds return to a rate of 6% or higher, over 45% of taxes would be allocated just to pay the interest of U.S. debt, leaving little to square for essential services or debt reduction, which could lead to the United States financial Armageddon in 9 years, potentially resulting in the end of the United States as a country. Now, that is the problem, is it has nothing to do with the we're going to get here in a second to where the really only places that you can really start to cut and touch to actually even touch the deficit or touch the debt. All right. Now, over the next 10 years, due to the baby boomers, almost 100% of the nation's debt will be comprised of interest, Medicaid, and Medicare and Social Security. One of our major issues currently is that we have more older adults than children being born. So, which means we have face a shortage of workers. In 10 years, we have more money going out than actual money coming into the system. Now, according to the math, the average household pays about $660,000 in SSI over their lifetime and will receive a little over $700,000 back. So what they paid in plus a small amount of interest. Now, as for Medicaid and Medicare, the average couple only pays $166,000 into the program over a lifetime, but will spend $556,000, which means the government is paying out over $400,000 per household in Medicare costs, which is why really the only way to cut spending is to either cut Medicaid and Medicare extend some out, or find ways to lower the cost of care through cures or other innovative technologies that can reduce the cost of treatment or even cure chronic diseases like diabetes type 1 or type 2, and possibly certain types of cancer to heart disease, which would save trillions of dollars over a 10-year period in spending. Right now, one of the largest and most expensive costs of Medicaid and Medicare expenses for the elderly is chronic diseases. Obviously, the most common ones are type 2 and type 1 diabetes, and then other heart issues and stuff like that. If we could get that done, you could take the cost of Medicaid and Medicare from $166,000 paid in for a couple household to maybe only $166,000 to $200,000 going out. But right now, there's a $400,000 gap, and we're about to have 70 million retirees. Take 70 million times 400,000, and that's how much debt we got. I mean, that's how bad it's going to be. So we can't survive on that. There's just no way this country can survive with that type of debt, and that's our problem. Is they say that they want to help us, but no, they don't. Because if they wanted to help us, if they truly wanted to settle this debt, then we wouldn't be having the issues we're having now. They would get it settled. They would bite down. They would tell their people the truth. Instead of making all these lies and all this stuff up, they would actually tell the truth and let their people know what's going on. But that's not what they want to do. They want to sit there and lie, and they just want to worry about getting reelected and making more money than they do about truly caring about their actual constituents. So then we still obviously have to cut borrowing. So no matter what the left says, we have to cut all the waste, fraud, and abuse out of Medicaid and Medicare if we don't want to see our country become a third world country in 10 years or end up in a world war plus world poverty. Because another thing that Schweiker had mentioned was the last time the world debt was this high was right around the time of the Napoleonic Wars, which, if anybody knows history, was famine for about 10, 15 years all over the world. And that's where we're at. It's not just America that's in major debt. It's the whole world that's seeing a major debt crisis. Now, to get to I wanted breaking news, but I was going to mention another thing. Is one thing that really surprised me today was a story came out that some Democrats in Congress had actually broken from their party to vote with Republicans to support getting rid of or to put restrictions on sanctuary cities. And then also, this is another thing I heard when I was coming home. They were talking about there's some Democrats trying to push for to release or dox ICE and Border Patrol and Customs Enforcement agents because they're wearing masks. Well, you know what? If the Democrats weren't out there vilifying them, literally calling them the Gestapo, literally insinuating that that's who they are, that they're equal to the Nazi police force, all because they're wearing a face covering, when some of them are actually undercover officers who literally work with cartels and stuff, so they can't have their they cannot have their identities shown on national TV. Two is another reason is because they are doing it because they're afraid that if somebody sees their face, puts their name out, that their family will suffer for it. Not just them, but their own family. These guys are not doing anything wrong. They are literally doing their job. The only reason they are having to wear face masks is because the media is following them around, has all these far left activist groups on the left that are anti-deportation and don't think there's anything about, they think everything's legal. It's legal immigration. We just let everybody in and just leave the border open, which I don't know how you can argue that after all the stuff that has happened just in the last couple months with all of the people who have been killed, maimed, lost their lives or whatever due to illegal immigrants who had overstayed visas or who shouldn't have been here, who killed somebody, whether it was a drunk driver in a car accident, it was a shooting, it was a terrorist attack. I mean, it's insane the amount of things that should show you that deporting illegal immigrants who are criminals should be on your priority. And the hilarious thing is freaking Obama deported over 5 million illegal immigrants. he even said that if you were coming here illegally and you committed a crime, you were gone, period. So to say that, oh, all this, and the funny thing is anybody remembers from President Trump's. Okay. All right, good. My mic's still working. All right. But if you remember anything from President Trump's first term, the picture of the illegal immigrants in cages was not President Trump. That was actually from Obama's term. So it's the left's fault that they're having to wear masks on their face everywhere to keep from getting attacked or getting their families, putting their families in danger, because they're just trying to do a job that they're supposed to do, that they were hired to do. It is literally the law of the United States. They're doing what their president tells them and what their boss tells them to do. So it's getting insane. I keep on forgetting. I don't need to look if my mic is. I've forgotten this new software I'm using. I can look right at and see that my mic's working, because my previous one I didn't have that. So I keep on forgetting. Alrighty, that is the end of that segment. I kind of added some more to it, but right now I do not see any buddy in the chat. So I don't see anybody in either of the chats so far. So far it looks like I've only had one viewer. I still have a viewer on my Twitch account. I don't see any viewers on it says one watching on my YouTube, but I haven't had anybody interact with it. So I guess tonight will probably be a little bit shorter of an episode. Just also remember, please, if you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble after the fact, or if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or iHeartRadio, please go check out Patriots Corner with drhilllaw.com. That is Patriots Corner with drhilllaw.com. And check out the website. It's got all of our previous episodes. The first couple ones, I can promise you, if this one doesn't seem like it's really great, those ones definitely aren't, because I've literally been doing this for less than a month. I'm still trying to get all my stuff set up, get everything going, get my content structured and everything to the way, trying to dial everything in. I've still got to get a door on my office so I can actually go through a whole episode without having to yell at the dogs or my kids trying to, for some reason, they see me sitting here with camera lights on, recording, talking, but they still want to sit there and try to get my attention and talk to me. So hopefully I'll get that door on, but please check out that website. It's free to sign up for the website. That's just to get you on the email list so I can email you when future episodes are coming up, because like I said, right now, I'm not doing this full time. I work a full-time job, have 3 kids. So while I try to do this every Sunday night, plus I'm still finishing my doctorate up. So I try to do this every Sunday night. I was going to do Wednesday, Thursday, but that's not working. So now it's Sunday night, Wednesday night, Friday night. And sometimes the time might change a little bit. I was planning on doing it 6, 7 o'clock tonight. It ended up going a little later. So that's why that email will help, is I'll be sending those emails out with the updated times of when I'm going to go live. And then also it gives you access to the my little blogs that I'm going to start putting up on the website too. So please go check that out. Also leave any comments. Let me know what you think. If you want to be a guest host or co-host, I'm looking to see if somebody wants to do co-host with me or whatever. If somebody wants to just come on as a guest to do an interview or something like that, let me know. And that's about it for that update. So I'm going to go ahead and get on to the next segment, which that was supposed to be added in my thing anyways, but it for some reason wasn't. So now getting on to the breaking news with Kelmar Abrego Garcia. In a late afternoon speech from Attorney General Pam Bondi, it was announced that the Salvadorian illegal immigrant Kelmar Abrego Garcia is officially back in the United States and set to be charged with multiple counts of human trafficking and conspiracy, or, well, they didn't say trafficking, they said human smuggling and conspiracy, but same thing. According to Tennessee indictment, Garcia played a significant role in a human smuggling ring operation for nearly a decade. Oh, but he's the Maryland man. Bondi described himself described him as a full-time smuggler who made more than 100 trips transporting women, children, and MS-13 gang members, gang-affiliated persons throughout the United States. She also said he is accused of trading minor children for profit, and that his conspirators say that he took part in the murder of a rival gang member's mother. Okay. Also, the grand jury heard allegations that Garcia trafficked firearms, narcotics, and solicited explicit images of a minor. This is the same guy who Democrats and the leftist mainstream media labeled as a Maryland dad. Also, the same guy that Democratic congressional members went to visit and try to humanize him and use his situation as a political football. If this doesn't prove that the left doesn't care about what's right or wrong or what's best for American citizens over regaining power or attacking President Trump, then I don't know if there is any help left for you or the Democrats. Honestly, I don't know why they even brought him back, other than to prove a point that President Trump does respect the Supreme Court and listens to their orders. Because now we are going to spend millions of dollars on a trial, feeding, housing, and providing medical care for a man that, once he is out of prison, will be deported back to his country of origin. All right, why are we going to pay $50 million for a guy we know is a criminal? We said was a criminal from day one. Literally, the Republicans have said that's why we deported him, and that we didn't want to bring him back. But also that the fact was the Supreme Court order, if you actually read it and know how to understand Supreme Court orders, it never said that they had to get him back. They just had to be willing to accept him back if they would be willing to send him back to us. Now, obviously, the reason why they were able to get him back now is because they were able to request an extradition for him to face trial for his crimes. So that's the only reason they were able to get him back now. So I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that they wanted to prove a point that, yes, President Trump does respect the Supreme Court, does listen to authority, and does follow what his attorneys tell him. But yet that's the only thing that makes sense, because why do you want to spend $50 million on a man who's going to literally be deported after we held him for his crime, as he was already in a prison down there? So there's pointless to send him back up to a prison up here. But that's literally what we got. So that's about all. I'll see if anything else has popped up here on the news real quick that I wanted to see if there's anything else I want to discuss real quick before we jump off here. I usually try to do at least 45 minutes. Tonight's only about 33 minutes because didn't really have any comments, questions, or replies, so nobody really to reply to or answer on anything there. So don't have anybody commenting to come up and talk or discuss anything about. So if we get to that, then I will, if anybody showed up, I'd try to do that. But for now, I don't really see anything new, any new stories that have popped out tonight as far as the rulings go. This is Supreme Court rules Doge can access Social Security information. Good. Because they need to figure out what's going on in Social Security, because they haven't stole money from it. They just haven't been replacing it. And now we've got, because of 70 million, we've got, and because back in that time, the average children per household was like 3.5, 4. Now it's barely 1.5, which is not even enough to repopulate the earth. We're literally, you got to think, okay, the average average household only pays about $400 a month into Social Security. The average retiree gets like $800 to $1,200 a month. So they're pulling out more than what's being paid in, because you need like 2 households for every retiree to cover what they're paying, to pay in more than what they're taking out. And that's the problem is right now we are not doing that. So that's what's affecting our system, and that's what's affecting our SSI. The healthcare cost is, and drug costs are what's destroying the Medicaid, Medicare system, and also the waste, fraud, and abuse of it, of the illegal immigrants that are using it that should never have been able to use it, because states aren't checking on it, and they're allowing them to use ITINs instead of making sure it's a actual social, making sure they're using a social security number, which they can tell the difference between an ITIN and a social security number. They're not even the same digits. They're not even set up the same way. So it's just that's all that waste, fraud, and abuse is literally going to bankrupt this country. I mean, up until 1913, the government wanted to spend money, they had to sell bonds. So we had to be willing to support it. Then they decided in 1913 they were going to start doing federal income tax, and they were going to go away from the gold standard, go to fiat currency, so they could just keep printing and printing money. The problem is we're the world currency. So if we go dead broke and our money becomes worth nothing, that's going to affect all of the economies all over the world, and then you're looking at a world war. I mean, so it's not very good. It's not looking really good for any of this right now. So we need to, and then we've still got, I mean, right now, you've got the stuff going on in Ukraine, and yeah, it's thanks to Joe Biden and him being asleep for 4 years. This country is literally this world is on the brink of another world war. And if President Trump had been here for 8 years and Joe Biden had not ever been reelected, we would be fine. Well, in sports, Texas women's and Texas Tech are for the softball World Series, College World Series. They have their final game tonight. I haven't seen to see if who's winning. Haven't looked at sports to see if who's won the if the game's over or who won. But I guess let me check that real quick. See, put it out. Get ESPN. See if the bottom of the fourth right now. 1 out. Texas is up 10-0. Looks like Tech is going to get spanked. Come on, Longhorns. The only reason y'all are playing Tech is because that's softball, and baseball and softball aren't like football anymore, where we don't play Tech for. I mean, I guess if Tech could make it to the championship playoffs, I mean, they could make it to the college final game because they're in Big 12, we're in SEC, but the probability of that's slim to none. But yeah, it looks like Tech is going to lose. I mean, they've still got a couple more innings. It is softball, so it's not as long as baseball, but 10-0 right now. Tonight's a final game, so come on, Longhorns, let's get this. Nothing really big in Texas this week. Last week, the everything for the 89th legislature ended, so all the new bills have passed. They're being signed. We did get the historic $338 billion budget that was passed, even though we still have a $26 billion surplus, even with that budget, which obviously had $4.2 billion in it for teachers' pay raises and school and for pre-K and full-time pre-K and kindergarten, and then special needs. Also had had $1 million in there for the voucher program, which is for private schools and parochial or cost for sending your kids to regular school. But all right, well, that is the end of the show. So please don't forget to comment and share. I will pick a couple. Well, that's already knows. Usually I pick a couple of comments to read at the end of the night, but we don't have any tonight. Like I said, I just started this live, so please leave comments on Spotify or anything. Let me know what you think, how everything's going. If there's some content you think I should add to it or other subjects you would like to see me cover. And then also any constructive criticism, I'm willing to please, but anything that's not constructive, I won't even pay attention to, won't even give the time of day. And also, just a little disclaimer, my doctoral degree in law and policy is a doctoral degree. I do not have a JD. I'm not an attorney. So any type of legal, everything I give on here is my opinion. It's not legal advice. It's not financial advice whenever I do anything to do with economics or anything like that, because I do have a bachelor's degree with a major in finance and economics, my MBA with a concentration in project management, and then my doctoral degree in law and policy. So I will kind of cover all those different subjects throughout the different shows. Then, like I said, just like and follow, whether that's YouTube, Rumble, and if you go to my website, it's got the links for my Facebook, my YouTube, my Instagram, my TikTok. It doesn't have my Spotify in there. I'm going to add that onto it. I'll add the Spotify, and then as soon as I get Apple and Amazon and iHeartRadio, I'll add those ones on there too. So you can find all of my social media pages on the website. And please like and follow all of them, and give me a rating there on Spotify. Please leave a rating for me. Well, if it's a good rating, please leave it. If it's not, just leave in the comments, but don't rate it, so it doesn't hurt my show getting out, so people can see as I'm improving my content and getting everything ironed out. Then I will be able to get that done. And then also, please, again, the website is Patriots Corner with drhilllaw.com. That is Patriots Corner with drhilllaw.com. And then also my locals community, I don't have that on there, but you can get to my locals from Rumble. And then that's pretty much it on that. Please let me know. Like I said, let me know on the content so I can make sure what I'm improving, get better at, and everything, get all this stuff going. Also, let me know what you think of the template, the logo I have so far. I'm trying to look at getting some more, but for right now, let me know what you think of that one. And then closing, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode, which discussed the current political climate, including our nation's debt crisis, the feud that began this week between Elon Musk and President Trump, and the breaking news story of Kelmar Abrego Garcia being extradited back to the United States to stand trial for multiple heinous crimes. And have a good night. Like I said, please join us every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday evening. Current times are not set exactly, so please subscribe or follow and sign up on my website, Patriots Corner with drhilllaw.com, so you will get notifications every time we go live. Each episode will be uploaded and available on Rumble, YouTube, and Spotify currently, and we are working on getting on Amazon, Apple, and iHeartRadio, and it usually will be on